Good evening, viewers. My name is Jemima Beukes. I am your host for this evening's evening review edition. Now we have in studio Elzita Beukes. She is from MultiChoice Namibia. She's talking to us about the latest developments at that company. Thank you for joining us, Elzita.
Thanks for having me, Jemima.
So, Elzita, can you talk to us about the latest developments at MultiChoice Namibia and across the continent?
So today we specifically want to talk about the MultiChoice Talent Factory that is now accepting entries for the 5th call that will start in January 2024. But overall, what we've been busy with, I'm sure everyone has seen that we've launched a new show called Shaka Ilembe. That one is important because it really is the biggest investment that the company as a whole, as MultiChoice Africa, has put into one proposition. And it's because we believe we are Africa's most loved storyteller. And what better way than to tell an African story that everybody loves, that everybody is very intrigued by, and that's Shaka Zulu, like we know him. So it's a retelling of the story of Shaka, his legacy, his dynasty, how it started. And it's from an African lens, it's from a Black lens, it's told by African producers, directors, actors, even the music score is produced locally. And why that's important, I think it's because we've also not only in the production of the film or the series, which is it's a 12-piece series, and we just aired the 3rd episode yesterday on Sunday. It's important because it was also created a pipeline for MultiChoice, and that's a big one for us. And we'll talk a little later about the Talent Factory, which is also part of that pipeline. We created 9,000 jobs in KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa, just the beadwork, the costumes, the set design, and that's really what we do. We want to enrich lives. Mm-hmm. And when we talk about the Talent Factory later, that's also another way that we try to enrich life, not just in the content that we showcase, but also in the impact that we have in society across the continent.
So, Elzita, you said it was the biggest investment that the MultiChoice as a company, mm-hmm. Continental, has made. Can you share with us how much it costs to make this movie, if you can?
No.
Also, the other thing is, I know with Netflix, other companies, they talk about over 4 million viewers in one day. Can you share that kind of statistic with us?
Yeah. So in the first week of Shaka Ilembe, we had over 4 million views as well. It was also the biggest streamed proposition show drama series for MultiChoice ever historically recorded. The most recorded in Namibia, Zambia, and Zimbabwe, and also other African countries. So it's been 4 years in the making. So because we had to consult with the Nguni tribes, with the current Zulu king, with the former Zulu king that has passed away also, to make sure that we're telling the story authentically and that we're bringing honor to the Zulu tribe and to the legacy of Shaka Zulu. So it was a lot of nuances that we had to look into. It was a learning curve for us also, but it really has opened the door for more stories. I think there's a lot of content that comes from the continent. You mentioned that you love the river, so there is other things like that as well. That and now we want to see produced by us for us over long term with very heavy investment. And Showmax is the biggest streamer in Africa, and it's the fastest growing as well. So it is nice to have shows like The River, for example, and Shaka will also be on Showmax after the 12 weeks linear TV, like we call it, on DSTV and GoTV. Plus as well.
So only after 12 weeks
can you watch it? Can you stream it? Yes, those ones who like to binge watch.
So you're here to talk to us about the MultiChoice Talent Factory initiative. Can you tell us about that?
Okay. So like I said, we not only do we believe in growing the film industry and the TV industry, a big part of that is also creating a pipeline of talent, of jobs, employment. And the way we do that is through the MultiChoice Talent Factory, which is our main corporate social investment project. And so this is a training program. It's a year-long, fully funded program for aspiring filmmakers, students between the ages of 18 and 26 to apply. They have a year-long, hands-on, very comprehensive training in our southern campus in Zambia. So there's 60 students in total for Southern Africa that goes, and each country where MultiChoice has a footprint can send 3 students. So we will be selecting 3 students to go from Namibia for a year-long, fully intensive, hands-on training in Zambia.
You were saying Southern Campus, Zambia. Do you have other campuses?
Yes, we do. We have one in Nigeria and one in Tanzania as well. So for the East and the West Africans as well.
Okay. So, can you tell, yeah, you just said 18 to 26, but
Yes.
then obviously, what are the other qualifications, other requirements that you look at? I mean, an 18-year-old may not necessarily have the kind of experience that you are looking for. So, what are the other things you look at?
So really, we are looking only for people who are very passionate about pursuing a career in television and TV production. So that's why we're saying 18, because you don't necessarily need formalized qualifications. So we're not looking for that. We just really want you to demonstrate that you are committed to your profession, you're passionate about a career in TV production. And what we're looking for is people who are adventurous and who are committed to the work, and that will be, I think, mentally resilient to adapt to a living in a different country, in a different culture for a whole year away from home. You know, Namibians, we like being in Namibia. So that's kind of what so if you can demonstrate some of the work that you've also done in the industry, some freelance things that you've done, that also plays in your favor, of course.
So I'm just thinking of the 18-year-old, and for the benefit of the viewers, and obviously, you know, the unemployment in this country, it might be a lifeline for a young person. Would you consider something like TikTok skits, those kind of things,
Yes.
as like
last year in our shortlisted candidates, a lot of them had done web series with their phones, music videos with their phones that they've shot. So that's not, we just want to see that you are interested and that you've put in some work in the industry. So and it's really when we have the one-on-one conversations with the shortlisted candidates that the real gems come to the front. Yeah.
So Elzita, we're going for a quick break and we'll be back. See you in 5.
Warm up your winter with the hottest deals at WB. Get 500 gram Rama margarine for $23.99, 1 kilogram jungle oats for $36.99, 2 liter Namilk or Maere for $42.99, 900 gram Harvest Time mixed veggies for $27.99, plus Huggies value packs for just $169.99. Beat the chill and save more at Woermannsbroek. We care.
Welcome back. Now, if you've just joined us on the evening review show for this evening, we are accompanied by Ms. Elzita Beukes from MultiChoice Namibia. She's talking about what is happening at the company, but most importantly, about the MultiChoice Talent Factory initiative. Elzita, before we went on a break, we talked about the requirements for people that would like to get involved in the MultiChoice Talent Factory. Can we just go to, this is a full-time program. So if there are people out there that would like to get involved, but they have full-time jobs and they cannot necessarily take the risk of joining a full-time program like this, do you have any options for them?
So unfortunately, this is a year-long, fully intensive scholarship program. We've said to students who are interested, who are in their second or third year and they're not done with completing their studies, that perhaps that they should defer. Some have indicated that that's what they would like to do, and then do this and come back to their studies. Unfortunately, if you are working full-time, it will require for you to either go on sabbatical or resign, as with any other scholarship program. But we do have online masterclasses that we regularly offer. The MultiChoice Talent Factory is in partnership also with the New York Film Academy. with the Henley Business School, with Canon and Dolby. So they also offer masterclasses from time to time that's virtual and online, and that we extend to anyone who's interested in photography, like with Canon, or film with the New York Film Academy. So you can join that at any time, and you can register on our Talent Factory portal, so on our MultiChoice portal, and then you have all your details, and we can make sure that you are also invited to those. Those are usually in the evenings at 6 o'clock, so it won't interfere with your day-to-day and your 8 to 5.
8 to 5. Earlier you said that usually it is during your one-on-one interview sessions that you see who the real gems are in terms of the prospective candidates. Can you talk to us about what exactly you're looking at in these candidates?
So for now, the call is open, and it's open until the 14th of July. It's an online process, and you just need to follow the prompts. And if you can, in the process of applying, really showcase your work, your show reels, and what you've been doing in the space of TV production. Whether that's screenwriting, directing, audio sound. A lot of people are doing music videos with their phones. So it's not just normal sort of directing, producing. There's other aspects to film as well. And the program is very holistic, and you will, even if you are indicating that you're interested in cinematography, for example, you will still be trained in the other areas. So it's a very holistic approach. So what we look for is people that can adapt easily. So once we have the shortlisted candidates, we have an in-person interview here in Windhoek. If you're unable to make it, we have dialed in students, prospective students from Rundu, from Swakopmund. We have an interview from there. You then get shortlisted again, and we do psychometric assessments as well. And we check your criminal record, so you need to have a police clearance as well. So because you are representing Namibia after all. So we want to make sure that the best students get through. And then you're selected, and that's much later in the year. It's usually around October or so, because the year starts in January 2024 for 12 months until December 2024.
And it's fully paid?
It's fully paid. We pay for your flights from Windhoek to Zambia and back, of course. And we also pay for your accommodation and your meals. You receive a small stipend monthly for any incidentals that you might have. There is a midterm break in the year, and we also fly the students back from Windhoek, from Zambia from Lusaka back to Windhoek for your break, and then back to the program as well.
Can you share with us some of your success stories from this program?
From our first cohort, Esther Beukes, she just finished her first short film last year, and we premiered it here locally. It was called Misunderstood. And that has made the rounds at the film festivals as well, and it did really well. She's actually remained behind in Zambia, and she is pursuing her career in directing there. Her short film was produced with another MTF graduate from Botswana, because the program really encourages collaboration across the continent, across the countries and markets. So we're very proud of that. We have two graduates, our alumni, RJ and Hilma. They were independently selected to be part of what we call the Mukorop Film Project with the NBC. So we had no hand in that. Their proposal was independently selected, and they actually produced one of the films that we will premiering soon. It's called Instant Love, which was very good, very funny. So they did, and you could really tell the quality of work is people who have had training in this area and who are working in the space. And then a few others from our previous cohorts that are finding themselves in the media space, working in radio. Someone is a music video producer. So different aspects, because it's all where your interest lies as well. No one is guaranteed work at MultiChoice when you're done, but the onus is really on you to grow your career and to find yourself. We will try and connect the dots, connect you with people. A lot of people go to South Africa and work on studios there. If you are selected at the end of the 12 months, they do select, I think, 2 or 3 of the best students from the continent, and they go do an internship in New York at the New York Film Festival, so Film Academy. So there's a lot of opportunities.
You talked about Mukorop. Can you talk to us about what Mukorop is?
So Mukorop came about, it's a partnership that we have with our national broadcaster. And we have funded the production of 13 local films this year. And we are now towards the final phases of the films. So people had to enter concepts, and they were independently selected. There was a few people that came through from Mnet, local judges as well, and they produced some films. So we will be premiering that later this year, probably in August, and that will really be then added on to Showmax. As well as on some potential, like the Afrikaans movies will go on CakeNet, for example, potentially. So that's the Namibian stories that we are hoping to tell. And then our hope is that we will have this every single year to create more local content on DSTV, on GoTV, on Showmax for Namibian audiences to enjoy.
So we back to the MultiChoice Talent Factory. You talked obviously you have these interviews, but can you share a little more on the selection process? Is it just the Windhoek office that is involved in selecting these?
So the selection, the shortlisted candidates is done in Zambia by the MTF coordinator and the coordinating team, because they're the ones that work with the students every day. The program, just to give you some background, is mostly practical. So you'll be going out, filming, doing movies, short films, attached to the MultiChoice studios in Zambia as well as ZTV. And there's also a theoretical aspect where you'll be in class studying. And it's not your 8 to 5 either, because sometimes there are evening shoots that you have to have. Sometimes there are weekend shoots. So like we said, it is a very intensive course and you really have to be committed. So the team in Zambia do the shortlisting, and then here locally in Namibia, we do the in-person interviews, or remote if there's someone from across the country. We know our country is rather large. And then from there, we'd shortlist a few, I think 10. They go through the psychometric assessment, which you shouldn't be afraid of. It's just the way you think, the way you problem solve, that we're looking at to see if you are resilient, if you are someone that doesn't give up easily, because you will need that. That's a life skill that we all need. And from there, we do the police clearance, like I said, and then we notify you via an email. We check if you have a valid passport, things like that to travel as well.
So earlier you also talked about that sometimes some of the candidates can't make it physically to Windhoek or to these centers where they need to be interviewed. So then how does the application then work? Because some people would also not be able to access certain tools that they need to apply.
So the application is completely online because it is an Africa initiative, and applicants, the call is open now until the 14th of July. So if you are 18 to 26, you are interested in a Korean TV production, you can enter online at www.multichoicetalentfactory.com. And there's some prompts that you have to upload things and so on. So unfortunately, it is only online to make the process also fair and transparent, and for everyone to apply. Yeah.
I'm just wondering if there is someone like a journalist, for instance, and they're not between 18 to 26, but at some point in their life they feel like, I'm retired now, maybe I should try this. Has there ever been a situation like that? Would you consider that?
No, it's not. This is for up and coming film producers, and like I said, it's part of the pipeline to create new creatives that will fall into the pipeline of creating content, not necessarily just for DSTV or for MultiChoice, but for the industry as a whole. So we're really looking for young talent to be the next generation of storytellers. So unfortunately, not so much for the older folk.
So you keep talking about this pipeline, and yes, people are not happy obviously with the content on MultiChoice. Is that to bring a refreshed content to the platform?
Well, some people are not happy. I think there's a lot of people that are very happy, and I think it shows with our ratings on Chaka Ilembe, for example. But yes, it's just another way, like if our purpose is to enrich lives, it's not just through the content that you watch, it is also through the experience that people have with the brand. So we also want to create that next generation of filmmakers. If we're saying that we want to tell Africa's stories, then we need African storytellers. And what better way is at the grassroots levels, from individual countries telling individual stories that's unique to those markets. So this is a way that we can gather the talent, that we can sift through the talent and grow the talent and empower the talent so that they can take the industry to the next level.
In conclusion, I just want to point out, there was a particular movie that was on Showmax. It is Namibia, Land of the Brave. And I know some people felt that it was not necessarily the very accurate nuance. As you say, certain nuances were not necessarily accurate. So when it comes to this kind of thing, how do you, what other research, what other people that you look at? Do you look at older people? Do you go into villages, for instance? Who are you looking at to help you with the information that is needed to give an accurate picture of that community?
So, I mean, like stories are different perspectives from different people, at different, how we all grew up differently, is how we see things differently. So we're looking for as many different kinds of stories as possible to tell the full Namibian story. So, and I think what we've seen with content, not everybody likes the same thing, and that's why we try to diversify the content as much as possible. With Showmax specifically, they do have specific standards of what they need for it to go on the platform, quality standards, sound standards. Not so much the content per se, unless it contradicts, like language and things like that, which is for the continent in any case. And Namibia also has its own prohibitions in those areas. But really, we encourage anyone to, before you start filming, to come to Showmax first, to approach us first and ask what are the requirements, the sound requirements, the audio, so that you can pass the quality checks, because there are quite a few quality checks and also documentation deliverables that we've seen our Namibian filmmakers don't necessarily have, because they start the film first and then it's hard to backtrack, So what we're saying is approach us first, look at the criteria for it to go on Showmax. Of course, we'd want to have as many different shows, short films on the platform, because it is the fastest growing streamer in Africa. So we want to get Namibian film, Namibian content on there as well. Not just films, also short, like serial programs, so like soapies or actual things or features. So yeah.
You said something about
documentaries,
deliverables. Can you just please explain that to us?
Yeah. So with every film that's submitted to Showmax, there's score sheets that need to be done. There's translation, the subtitle content that needs to be done. So those are all, and there's many more that's required by Showmax.
Like what happened with Louis when he spoke in Rukangali. They translated that it was in Oshiwambo.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I missed
so
that.
that you know. So
I've seen hashtag Land of the Brave. Yeah.
So, in conclusion, can you tell us, are there other projects that you are at this point? Are you collaborating with any other organization when it comes to projects in the country?
So the first one I can think of is that we are a proud sponsor of Miss Namibia, and we will be represented in Swakop this weekend when we do Miss Teen and Miss Namibia over the weekend. So looking forward to that. But just as a business, we are also looking. We've just celebrated 30 years in the country, being a local business that's growing the economy as well. Big taxpayer. We got an award from NAMRA for being a big taxpayer. Yes. So definitely growing our local footprint as well. We're doing a lot of kids things, a lot of content discovery, so a lot of new content things that's coming out. We've got some exciting announcements coming soon, which I can't talk about just yet, but you can stay tuned to the media.
What do you mean with content discoveries?
Content discovery is when we talk about the content that's coming on the platform. So not necessarily this is the show that's starting, but for example, going back to Shaka Ilembe, talking about the issues around the show as well that it touches on. Like there's been a lot of discussion, positive discussion around body positivity, for example, on Shaka Ilembe, because it is how people lived. So there is a lot of, breasts and so on, but it's different body shapes, representation. So those are the things that we unpack when we talk about not just the content, but discovering the content as well.
Oh, I see. Interesting. Thank you very much for joining us, Elzita.
Thanks, Jemima, for having me.
Thank you for joining us this evening. Have a good night.